What's up guys, Darkdally here playing Ghost Recon Wildlands, and today I want to continue the series on Assault Rifle Bullet Drop with the AK-12. Figured this would be a good one to follow up with our last test, which was the AUG-A3. If you haven't seen any of the Assault Rifle Bullet Drop series, I'll have a link to the entire playlist down in the description below and you can get caught up. So we're shooting this at 250 meters. And first I want to go over any kind of scope, or optics irregularities you may see with this. And as usual, this is a little odd with the ACOG scope here, but not so bad as some of the other ones. Now, as with all the rifles, or at least the assault rifles, the ACOG scope has, I don't know. It lets you toggle it, but it shows no different zoom. So I don't know what the deal with this scope is. That said, in this mode right here, when the scope is slightly farther from you, this rifle is actually accurate with it. And this is the first one I can say that's actually 90% dead on with the ACOG scope. And that's when it's in the mode when it's toggled away from you. Because, again, it doesn't show it as having more than one mode. Now, in this mode here, when it's closer to you, it actually shoots off to the right. The scope kind of moves off a little bit when you do that, and as you can see, it shoots a little off to the right. So be careful about that. Other than that, it's really got the same kind of, inconsistencies that all of the assault rifles share with the scopes, in that they're slightly kind of maybe off with the Russian red dot sight, and a little off to the right with the digital scope, which is what we're using for the testing, because all these differences are really so negligible. But I want to mention them anyway. So this one's actually pretty decent with the ACOG scope and actually usable in one of the modes with it, Oh, and there is one more thing I want to mention about the AK-12. I'll probably insert this into the video somewhere. You can see here I've modified it a little bit. I put a grenade launcher on it. This weapon has always had a glitch where when you equip, whatever you equip on the underbarrel, it shows a random attachment. Now here it's actually showing the grenade launcher. But from my experience in the game, no matter what you pick, it shows something random on the underbarrel. Oh, it looks like they fixed it. This gun never before ever showed an underbarrel, a grenade launcher rather. And that includes in the character screen, it would never show it. You would equip it and it wouldn't show it. And then in the game, it would just show a random attachment. But here, it's actually showing the grenade launcher. It looks like they fixed this. I've not used this weapon in a while. They may have changed this several updates ago. How about that? It would previously show random underbarrel attachments. And your character, regardless, would always hold it like that. So you could have a vertical foregrip and my character would be holding it as if it had a grenade launcher, and it looked really weird and awkward. I'm glad to see it looks like they fixed that. Alright guys, I just wanted to add this in as a little aside on the AK-12. Very cool stuff. Alright, so let's get 250 meters. The rifle is totally stock besides this. First, of course, like always, I want to fire a shot just to confirm that we were at where we were at with our original test. Now, in the original test, this rifle dropped down at 250 meters right with the Mark 17. So I'm kind of expecting its upgrades to put it right exactly where the Mark 17 was as well. And yes, we hit dead on where we did in our original test, right there at the very bottom of that third brick up. It's exactly where we hit in our original test. I always like to, just verify that, as you guys know. Now there are two parts we can put on, which will modify our bullet drop and make it a little more accurate, and that's the barrel and the rangefinder. Let's see what kind of barrels we have. Do we have, nope, no short barrel with this one. So we can put a long barrel on. Now, the Mark 17, they both hit the same place stock. So this is kind of the test here. This is the test to see, did Ubisoft just round off all the numbers, or are these rifles actual individuals? I'm kind of going towards the former. Speaking of which, let me go ahead and put up the bullet drop compilation we have so far for the assault rifles before we get properly started here. Okay, so here you can see that this is what I was talking about. See, all the assault rifles, they dropped at 4 very distinct levels of drop. When I modified them, and I've modified the Mark 17, the M4, and the AUG-A3. And it looks like they're forming a new, mirror of that pattern, higher on the wall and maybe closer together. That said, I would be pleasantly surprised. I would love to see this rifle do something unique and have its own unique modified bullet drop, but I bet it's going to hit right with the Mark 17. Alright, so with our long barrel on, let's see where we hit on this wall at 250 meters. Okay, and I don't remember exactly where the Mark 17 hit, but that looks like it dead on. It was about 1 3/4 bricks up, as I recall, and that's right about where we're at. So that's where we're hitting. I mean, regardless, that's where the AK-12, that's a significantly less amount of bullet drop with the long barrel. Let's see what we can do with the rangefinder here. Let's go ahead and put that on. See how this fixes us a little bit. See, the sniper rifles, they were all different. For the most part, these assault rifles, you notice almost instantly that they all hit in very, distinct places. Alright, and there's our shot off with the AK12 fully modified for bullet drop. It's exactly where the Mark 17 was hitting. I'm going to go ahead and, so you can see here where it hit stock, where it hit with the long barrel, and where it hit with the rangefinder. I'm going to go ahead and put that graphic up on screen, but as you can see, it's hitting right exactly where the Mark 17 did. And I'll take a couple more shots, but I know that's what we're going to see. It's still too early to make assumptions. You know, that's definitely not the way to do testing, but it does appear that all these rifles are going to keep their same place in relation to one another. They're just going to hit a little higher on the wall. That said, let's go ahead and let's test another rifle, because this was pretty quick and it's starting to really confirm something I already kind of figured. And I don't want to just put out a short video with basically no content. So let's grab another rifle that we have ready to test. Let's grab one of the higher ones. All right, so we just tested the AK-12, which is one of the lower hitting ones, and it lined right up with the Mark 17. So let's grab one of the higher ones. Let's grab the G2, and it hit right with the AUG A3. So is it also going to hit right exactly where the AUG A3 did? That's what I want to see. So let's grab the Famas G2. Here it is, and it should already be modified for us. I expect we're going to see the same thing with the scopes. I will grab the ACOG scope because this is the one scope that's proven to be different with every single rifle so far. So let's just see how it does with the G2. Get this out of the way. Otherwise, this rifle is stock. Actually, I can tell you already this is not going to hit with the AUG A3. Well, probably not, because this rifle does not take a rail attachment. Interestingly enough, even though I believe it has a rail on it. Or does it not? Some rifles show a rail on them, but don't let you attach anything. Well, regardless, see what kind of oddities we have with the ACOG scope. Shoots pretty dead on. And it shoots off a little bit. Slightly to the right, just like with the other scopes. So a lot of these assault rifles, it's kind of a thing where they shoot a little to the right. So this looks like it shoots off a little to the right with one of the modes in the ACOG, but it's actually not even that much. It's not bad at all, to be quite honest. Let's go ahead and put our digital scope back on. Okay, so I moved the Mark over a little bit so we have our own space to fire here with the G2. And, well, I doubt it's going to line up with the AUG A3 because this won't take a rail attachment. So let's see what this one does. The AK-12, well, AK-12 hit right in line with the Mark 17. I mean, you know, obviously you just saw that, so they're identical. This should have its own place on the wall. Let's go ahead and test it against stock. Now, one thing the G2 does have, yeah, it hit right where it did in our original test, which is what we expect. That's where it should be hitting. That's exactly where it was hitting in the original test. If you don't remember that, I may just put that back up on screen. As you can see, it was hitting right with the top ones, the AUG and the L85. One thing about the G2, it has a very high rate of fire. The stats show it doing very little damage, but we all know how much we can depend on stats. It has a very high rate of fire, though. And high rate of fire can really mean a lot, because remember, when you shoot an enemy, they get staggered, and weapons with higher rate of fire can keep the enemy staggered better. So while this may not do as much damage, that is, again, if you can depend on those bars over there, this thing is actually a really effective combat weapon because it's very accurate and it has a very high rate of fire. So this weapon definitely has its uses. This is a very good rifle, and one that a lot of people do favor for sure. We don't have the option for a long barrel, only a shorter barrel. I actually didn't realize that. I don't use it much. So it doesn't look like we can improve this one's bullet drop at all, actually. Wow, a surprise. I've been double surprised here. There's no rail spot. And there's no longer barrel. Let's test a short barrel, because you never know. There's been a couple of issues where shorter barrels actually made weapons perform better, and I think they may have fixed those bugs, but well, it's always worth testing. So here we have the shorter barrel. This should hit us much lower on the wall. Probably still on the wall, though. Alright, so I just got done saying how good the G2 is, and it is. But it's definitely not the weapon you want for long-range engagement. There you can see we hit right there. And that makes this definitely better for closer range engagement. You know, which this rifle's strong point is its high rate of fire, and a high rate of fire is something you would usually use at short medium range anyway. You wouldn't use a high rate of fire at super long range because, you know, you're going to really miss on your accuracy. And so I guess it fits for this weapon, as it is really good for suppressive fire and quick bursts to keep your enemies staggered, and that's something you generally want to do at closer range anyway. This is obviously a close range weapon because let's look at this one more time. You can see that its stock bullet drop right there is as good as we're going to get. Now let me go ahead and put up the overall compilation graphic. So this will have everything we've tested plus the AK12 and the G2 on it. And well, the G2, I'm not going to put a modded slot for it, a modded shot on the thing because, well, it simply can't be improved because the barrel and the rangefinder is all we can do, and it won't take either a long barrel or a rangefinder. All right, guys, so, well, I'm kind of glad I decided to do a second rifle today. We actually did learn something. I was kind of disappointed to see the AK-12 just do the exact same thing as the Mark 17. So here we have some feedback on the G2. It's a good rifle, but it's a good short-range rifle. That said, a little disappointing for the G2, and we've seen where the AK-12 hits. All right, guys, tell me your thoughts. Tell me what you think. But that's my pretty honest feedback from what I'm seeing from this rifle. It's totally viable, but at longer ranges, it's just not going to be as an effective a rifle because of its, complete lack of accuracy at range. Don't get me wrong, it just means you gotta adjust more. So take all that for what you will, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Tell me what you think about the AK-12 and the Famas G2 down in the comments below. Next time we'll be continuing with another rifle, or maybe another 2 rifles. I didn't want a super short nothing video, so I'm glad we found something out. Alright guys, it's been a real pleasure. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Darkdally, and I will catch you guys next time.